Hey you guys, it's me Makai. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel. And today's video is going to be kind of probably a little long video, not too long, but just to sum it up, this video is going to be a little bit different. So please hear me out, and I hope you guys bear with me in this video. I'm going to try my best to explain everything the best way that I can. And I'm just giving you guys all of the facts and all of the information so that you guys can also go look this up and inquire, because you guys also, there's nothing like a personal conviction. You know, I can tell you and give you all of the information, but that personal conviction and that personal revelation that you get from the Lord is different from me just telling you all of the facts and stuff. And the word tells us to hear out a matter and to inquire about it. So, you know, hear me out before you guys say anything, because these things that I'm about to say are going to be a little bit probably what people would consider out there. And you know, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is truth. This is for real, the truth. And I'm gonna back it up with scriptures and stuff, but I just want you guys to hear me out, okay? And you know, I'm just praying that you guys will hear out the matter first, instead of, you know, automatically jumping to conclusions or having your own opinion about something before going and inquiring and searching about it. You guys are gonna do whatever you want to do, but I just, you know, I'm just saying, hear me out, okay? Hear me out, because what I'm about to say may seem, you know, sometimes the truth hurts. I guess that's the best way I can put it. So with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, we're going to be talking about the Great Pyramids and the mystery behind it, and I'm going to be telling you guys how the Great Pyramids is where the Tower of Babel took place. I'm going to be telling you how the Great Pyramids are the Tower of Babel, and that place where God scattered the people, and the languages were divided, and people began to, you know, scatter abroad and have their own languages and stuff like that. That's where the Tower of Babel took place. In the Bible, it tells us how we each got our own language, or we began to have our own language, is where the Tower of Babel took place in the Bible. But I'm going to tell you how the Great Pyramids of Egypt, of Giza, that's the Tower of Babel, where we got scattered abroad and our language was divided over there by the pyramids, okay? So, the pyramids, okay, we know, if you don't know, you guys, you can look this up. The pyramids today, a lot of people have so many theologies or theories. I mean, they have so many theories on the Great Pyramids, and there's this whole mystery behind it, and how nobody really knows where they came from. I mean, they say that the Egyptians, some of the people say that the Egyptians were the one to build the pyramids. But if you look it up, you know, even history itself, we always go to ancient Egyptian, but we never go further back. We never go, well, what was before Egypt? Who came before Egypt? You know, there's always a point, a start of something. So Egypt had to come from somewhere. And the Bible talks about that. And so like I said, they say that the Egyptians built the pyramids and stuff like that. Or they say it's just like it's one of the 7 wonders of the earth, the pyramids are. And they think it's just this supernatural phenomenon or something crazy, which it is. It is a good thing. I'm not trying to downplay the pyramids, but people make it seem to be like it's just something out of this world or something like that. And the truth is like what happened in the Bible is what happened, you know, how the pyramids got here. So there's all these theories about the pyramids and how they came about, who built them, what they're used for. And before I get into it, I want to just, you know, tell you guys that the main purpose of this video is to bring truth, is to bring the truth and the light to the situation, and to sum up and to basically debunk the mystery behind pyramids, the Great Pyramids. Because once again, the enemy, and when I say the enemy, I mean the spiritual wickedness in higher places that God tells us that we fight against. Not flesh and blood, we fight against spiritual wickedness in higher places. So when I say the enemy, I'm meaning mostly spiritual things and the people who are being used by the enemy today, so on and so forth. So the enemy, you know, there's all of these theories out here, right? And that's what God tells us is do not get caught up in vain. I believe it's do not get caught up in vain philosophies or vain doctrines of men and the way that men think and stuff. If you don't have the Holy Spirit, then you would be considered man. Like if you're just coming up with all of these theories and stuff and not the truth, that's man doctrine. You're just coming up with your own understanding, which God tells us not to do. So the enemy, that's why there's all this confusion around this topic and mystery behind it, because once again, the enemy is, we know that God is not the author of confusion. The author of confusion is the enemy. So most of the time, confusion, you know, a lot of times what the enemy does is he'll say a little bit of truth and the rest is lies. So I'm going to go through what is true and what is not regarding the whole pyramid and what people are saying about the pyramids, because, and I go back to the Bible. The reason why I refer to the Bible, because the Bible is truth. So I can tell what is not true and what is true regarding the pyramid. So that's how I know what is to be. So I just want to put that out there also. But so where was I at? So the reason why there's so much confusion and not the truth is not really known about the pyramids is because, well, you know, the whole thing, the spiritual warfare that we fight every day is about good versus bad, or evil versus good. This is what it's all about. This is what this earth is. Even when we fight, you know, with flesh ourselves, we're battling if we should do the right thing or the wrong thing. We're always battling good versus evil. That's what this earth is about. That's what it's about here. And especially the enemy, he's always trying to steer us from the truth. Why? Because if people knew that the Tower of Babel in the Bible, what it speaks about is the pyramids of Egypt, of Giza, then they would know that the Bible is true. They would know that, okay, the God who is speaking of this Bible, of these verses, are true. Like, they would know the truth, and this would show that the Bible is true, and people would get their salvation, you know, the good news, the gospel. People would probably start to really take heed and really listen and read their Bible if they knew the truth of things, you know, just like that saying goes, the truth shall set you free. Wow. That's a tongue twister. The truth shall set you free. So this is what it all boils down to. This is why there's so much confusion around this topic, is because if people knew the truth, then they would know that the Bible is true, because it talks about the pyramids in the Bible. So it goes back once again to the Bible. It always goes back to the Bible. I mean, the Bible has the answers to life and everything that's happened in this life. So if people knew that the Bible was real, then they would get their salvation. I hope you guys are seeing where I'm going with this, but that's what it's all about. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there on why, you know, I'm trying to sit here and tell you guys the truth. Okay, but anyways, you guys, so let's go ahead and get into it. So the pyramids, now what's real, I'm going to go through it of what's real and what isn't. So the pyramids, the one thing that is real that they got right was that the pyramids were used. They did use the pyramids for, well, the Egyptians did. Once again, they didn't go back. People really don't go back farther than ancient Egypt. But in the Bible, it talks about the father of Egypt, which is Mizraim is his name. It's translated in Hebrew. Hebrew is the original text of the Bible. So in Hebrew, it's translated to Egypt. So that's where Egypt came from, was Mizraim. Now Mizraim, Nimrod, if you see that he's in the Bible, he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. So it was Mizraim, Nimrod, Cush, which is the land that the pyramids were built upon. That's what, even if you look it up, it says that. So Cush was there, Mizraim was there, Nimrod was there. We're going back before Egypt, ancient civilization, Egypt, okay? All these people were all in one place. All the nations were all in one place. They were all one language. They were all in one place. And it says in the Bible how they were building up a city and a tower to make a name for themselves. So basically they were going off of their own, they were building their own ways, their own ideologies, their own thing. They were trying to make a name for themselves. So they were building a city and a tower. So I'm going to get into the tower and stuff like that. So the pyramids, as ancient Egypt, as it tells us when you look it up, how they were used for the pyramids were used for the people to ascend to heaven or the afterlife and to make them gods. Like, they used the pyramids as like a, I don't even know the word I can call it, but they used it as some type of tool to ascend their bodies and make them gods in the afterlife. They were trying to basically be like God. You know, God is the only one who's in control of that. He's the only one who can, you know, ascend or put people in heaven or hell. He's the only one who has control over that. And that's what the Egyptians were trying to do. They were trying to make a tool. And that's why the pyramids they're going up like staircases, because it's a symbolic and significance of them ascending to the afterlife and to heaven. And it's like, you're not going to heaven unless God says so. So these people were trying to basically come up with their own way of ascending to the afterlife. And that's what the Egyptians were doing. Now we're going to go back to the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel was doing the same thing. Now, Egypt did not become Egypt until after the Tower of Babel, when all the nations were scattered. That's when we see in that Tower of Babel, all the nations were scattered. Then Egypt took on the pyramids, which once again, the pyramids are the Tower of Babel. So Egypt took on the Tower of Babel and kept kept the same traditions that they were doing at the Tower of Babel, because the Tower of Babel was doing the same thing the ancient Egyptians were doing. They were using it as a tool, but that's why I'm trying to point to you guys. I'm going back before Egypt, because that's where it all started, at the Tower of Babel. They were using it as a tool to ascend them to heaven. It says that in verse, it says in verse 4, it says, "And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven." In the context that God is saying for heaven, because there's definitions of heaven, the context that's being used of heaven in this verse is the afterlife, the vault that is above the sky, where God dwells, where the angels dwells, and all that. They built a structure. A tower is also, it doesn't necessarily have to be a tower as we see today. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. A tower can be to rise above or to reach something, which is exactly what they were trying to do. They were trying to reach the heavens, but the afterlife. It wasn't the heavens in the sky. They weren't trying to build a tower all the way up to the sky. Especially back then, that's just common sense. They were not doing that. But spiritually, they were trying to crack open, basically make a portal. That's the best way I can say it. They were trying to make a portal to the afterlife and to get to heaven. And it's like, once again, they have no control over that, but they were trying to do that. And if you see, we still do that today. Humans do that today. I mean, even all of them, they're trying to figure out a way to get to the afterlife and crack open the, make portals and stuff. Actually, I don't even know if I should be saying this, because the algorithm and stuff, it gets offended. But yeah, you guys, so that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But they were doing the same thing back then. That's what the Bible says. There is nothing new under the sun. History repeats itself. So anyways, that's what they were doing at the Tower of Babel. Nimrod, Cush, Mizraim, that's Egypt's father. They were all doing that. And then when God came down and saw that they were getting, I wouldn't say powerful because nothing is too powerful for God, but God saw them getting too bold, getting out of hand with what they were trying to do. So that's why he came down and he scattered them, and he made them, basically, having confliction within themselves so that they can scatter and stop what they're doing, which is what happened at that, in that situation, is they began to speak different languages and get scattered abroad. And that's when ancient Egypt, the Egypt civilization that we refer to today, a lot of historians, and even when you look it up, they say a lot of stuff today goes back to ancient Egypt or Greece or whatever. But that's where Egypt became Egypt. They took on they basically took on the traditions that their father and them did. And if you see, there's pyramids all throughout the earth. Like there's pyramids, I think, in Brazil or somewhere, and other places. And that's because they took the ideology or the traditions of the pyramids where it started at, which was the pyramids of Giza. They took that, and whenever they scattered, they just took it and, basically they did it over there, wherever they were, whatever they were stationed at, wherever they decided to live. That's where they built the pyramids, and that's where you see there's different pyramids out here in the earth. So I think that's one clue, you guys. Another thing is, okay, so you may be asking who built the pyramids. That's another thing I see, is how in the world did these people build the pyramids, and who built them, especially back then and stuff like that. But one thing about it is that people get this misconception that we started out like cavemen, and that is not how we started out. We did not start out with cavemen, and we didn't start out with just brain dead, barely knowing how to start a fire. You know how cavemen are. They're kind of like, I don't know if it's docile is the word, or naive, but they're not really all there. Cavemen, they're just starting out, they're trying to get by. We didn't start out like that. God gave us everything that we needed, and so back then, even though it wasn't like modern day today, like all the technology we have today, they still had things to build up structures and stuff. And if you see, there's so many skyscrapers and towers, so man is capable of doing such things as the pyramids. But back then, it says, God points out, Nimrod, out of all the people and all the things, you have to see what God is saying in his word. And you see when he describes in Genesis, he describes just Nimrod, nobody else, just Nimrod, and how he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. And once again, God gives us these deeper understandings and meanings behind his word. And it's because there was people like Nimrod during that day who were, basically, to sum it up, they had different genetics. Like back then, Noah lived to be, what was his age? I'm sorry, y'all, but they lived longer. Their genetics were different. There was even giants back then, and there still is today. But there were, people were mighty, mighty men of valor. Like they were equipped, and they could do such things and build those structures. So there isn't no, how do you say it? It's not strange that they could build such things like that. So that's how they built it, because they had men back then, men who could do it. They had, even if you look it up too, the what it says the pyramids are built out of today is exactly what God describes the Tower of Babel, and the structure that they were building. That's exactly the materials that they were building, it's exactly the materials that Egypt, the pyramids, are made out of. You guys, it says right here, it says, and they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar, 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 mortar. So the same materials that are described in the Bible are the same materials that are used on the pyramids. Also, another thing is Shinar. So it says that they were settling in the land of Shinar and building the tower, building the city for themselves. Now, Shinar translated in translation means, I'm going to put it on the screen, but it means like wholly severed or between two rivers, something like that. I'm putting on the screen. And if you look, the pyramids are exactly at the point where it is between two rivers. Okay, now today's terminology of river is, not today's terminology. If you look up the word river, it means a big body of water. Excuse me. It means a big body of water flowing into bigger, like flowing into the ocean or sea or something like that. I'm going to put it on the screen, but these two rivers, or they're called Red Seas today. They're called seas today, but they've changed the name. Once again, they've changed up certain things over the years. So today they're called seas, and but technically they are rivers. And the land of Shinar, which is where the Tower of Babel is built. Like I said, the pyramids, I'm going to put on the screen too, what I'm talking about. The pyramids are exactly right there, severing between the two rivers, you guys. I can't make this up. I cannot make this up. Sorry, I'm getting so happy about this because God, the truth is always out there. That's another thing, you guys. The truth is always out there. Like God, nothing can be hidden. Everything comes to light. Like there is nothing that can be hidden. The truth is always out there. It's just up to us to want to know the truth. And yeah, you guys. So that's another clue, is the land of Shinar. Now I know when you look it up, it says that Shinar is now in the land of Iraq, which is all the way on the other side of where the pyramids are. But once again, hello, they're trying to steer you away from the truth. So that's false because whatchamacallit? Oh, they say modern day. They say modern day or today. The wording that they use, that they say the land of Shinar is in Iraq today, it's because they changed it up. That means they changed where it was once. That means Shinar was not always in the land of Iraq. It had to been somewhere else if it's modern day or today it's called. Their wording that they use, you can tell that it's been changed. So that's another thing, you guys. And also another thing is the Tower of Babel. So if you look it up, they also don't have any recollection of the Tower of Babel. They have no pictures. They say it's a myth, which is completely, I think that's crazy, but they say it's a myth, and it's it's completely ruined. Like there's no evidence of it, so on and so forth, which I wonder why, because they're trying to, once again, steer you away from the truth. They don't want you to know that the pyramids are the Tower of Babel. So they say that there is no evidence and stuff like that of the Tower of Babel. But the Tower of Babel is just a phrase. It's not an actual tower. It's just a phrase that God uses to explain a situation that happened in place. So meaning, what I'm trying to say is, there is no, when you think of the Tower of Babel, it's not, like I said, it's not a tower. It's not a tower. It's the pyramids. It's a situation. It's where something happened, where God is explaining where something happened. And you can see that in verse 9. It says, therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. So it's just a phrase. When I used to think of the Tower of Babel, I used to just think of a tower, but God has renewed my mind and taken down how I've been basically programmed to think that it was a tower, but it's not. It's the pyramids. It's the great pyramids over there. So And what's so important about this, and this is another reason why I'm trying to spread the truth, is because, and why God wants the truth, to be spread, is because this is a place, we can look at back in our history and our ancestors and be like, wow, that's where, the Great Pyramids, that's where God scattered the earth. That's where that's where Noah landed from the flood. It started over there in Africa where the pyramids are at. It started all over there. Knowing this information is so rich, and it's really edifying to the soul, because it just says a lot. It says a lot, like I said, like just knowing this, that that's where our people were scattered, and the languages were, people wonder how do we have different languages today? Well, that's because God scattered us abroad, and we all became, our own, and our own nation, and so on and so forth. So, just it's really rich history, and it's good to know these things, and it's a good thing, you guys. So anyways, I think that's all that I wanted. If you guys have any... Hey guys, okay, so I also wanted to add this in, that a part of the Bible, in the Bible, it also tells us how whenever God scattered the people abroad, how they stopped building. Like, they all of a sudden just dropped everything and they stopped building the city up. And that's what Egypt, the pyramids, it says that it was never really finished. And so that's another clue and another correlation to the two, the Tower of Babel and the pyramid. So I just wanted to add that in there. But yeah, questions down below, please leave them down below. Feel free to. I will definitely, if you're not trolling, I definitely will answer some questions. If you have anything that I missed, I think I covered everything. And how I got to all this information is Jeremiah 33:3. It says, "Call unto me, and I will show you great and mighty things that thou dost not know." And also, if people are wondering, God gives us the Spirit to be able to understand these things. He's able to teach us things and guide us into the truth. It tells us that in His Word, that when the Spirit comes, that He will guide you into all truth. So God is able to give you wisdom. And alright, you guys, that's the end of the video. I'm running out of space right now. My video cut off just a minute ago. But anyways, you guys, I hope you liked and subscribed. Please leave your comments down below. Follow me on my social medias if you want to. And share this. Do what you gotta do. And I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.